Hi everyone, I'm Matthew Moniz, and this is my review of the DELL XPS 13 2-in-1, a convertible version of the DELL XPS 13. It's lighter, it's thinner, and has pen support, but retains a familiar look and feel. But is it actually worth it? Let's find out. The DELL XPS 13 2-in-1 does a fantastic job of looking like its non-convertible sibling. The only noticeable visual difference is the steel hinges on the back. It's still made out of all metal on the top and bottom with that awesome carbon fiber wrapping around the deck. It's not when you actually start using the laptop you notice some key differences. For one, it's significantly harder to open up, the hinges are stiff, and there's no lip to get your fingers inside. Two, it's thinner than the regular XPS 13. It's only 0.54 inches compared to 0.6. So if you thought the regular XPS 13 was nice and petite, this takes it to the next level. I personally prefer the reduced size since it makes it more compact when the laptop is in tablet mode and less noticeable when you carry it around. Now, from a design standpoint, the main reason to choose this 2-in-1 over the traditional clamshell model is to use a stylus with it. But you'll have to buy Dell's Active Pen separately for around $50. I wasn't given one to test out, so I can't comment on how good it is, but it has 2,048 levels of sensitivity, built-in a palm rejection, and a button on the top to activate the start menu. My guess it's pretty similar to HP's and Microsoft's offerings. Ports have been sacrificed on the 2-in-1, so no full-size SD card slot and no full USB port like the regular XPS 13. Instead, you get one Thunderbolt 3 port, an audio jack, and a power indicator on the left, and on the right, you get one USB Type-C port, micro SD card slot, and a power button. Unlike Apple, Dell also includes a USB-C to USB-A adapter in the box. Now, surprisingly for the size, opening it up was quite easy. Just remove 11 screws and you're in. But don't get too excited, the only thing that can be replaced is the Toshiba PCIe drive, which by the way has great read speeds, but not the greatest write speeds for this type of drive. RAM and CPU are soldered onto the motherboard, so make sure to get a good configuration if you plan on keeping it for a very long time. My review unit is using a Core i7-7Y75 CPU, so it's not the same as the faster U-series processor that's in the regular XPS 13. It's the new naming scheme Intel has created to replace the Core M branding for its slower chipset. My unit also comes packed with 8GB of RAM, a Full HD touch display, and 256GB of PCIe SSD storage. Now you can configure it with a slower i5 or put up to 16GB of RAM. This model costs $1,300 US, but pricing starts at $1,000 for an i5 with 4GB of RAM. The near bezel-less Infinity Edge display on the 2-in-1 is just as gorgeous as its clamshell version. It's Full HD and touch, but also 13 inches, which is impressive considering the framing is the size of most 11-inch laptops. Viewing angles are excellent, sRGB sits at 98%, and Adobe RGB at 77%. I feel the Fhd display is fine for this size, but if you need more pixels, there's a QHD Plus model available. Now, unfortunately, the HD webcam is still on the bottom of the laptop, but centered instead of off to the left side. It still looks very awkward, but there's now infrared sensors to go with it, which will work with Windows Hello facial recognition. I couldn't test it out since it's not activated, but Dell plans to enable it in an upcoming software update. The keyboard layout is similar to the XPS 13 with a few keys getting their own button instead of sharing it with others. The travel distance is the same at 1.2 millimeters, which is pretty short, but I find the keys to be a lot more stiff to press on compared to the more mushy keys on the regular XPS 13. I prefer the stiffness, it gives it a more satisfying click. The touchpad below is top-notch, one of the best touchpads you can get on a Windows laptop, and to the right of it there's now a fingerprint scanner. This is new for the XPS line and a very welcome addition. Logging onto your computer using your finger or face is much more convenient than typing in a password. There's two speakers, one on each side of the laptop, and they pack a punch for the size. They sound crisp and clear and get loud enough to fill up a small size room. Any tweaks to sound can be made through the Waves Max audio app. The processor inside is the Y series series, so formerly the Core M. This means it's not as powerful as the U series in the clamshell version. I was expecting a huge performance drop, but it handled all the day-to-day tasks just fine. Dell has introduced a feature called Dynamic Power Mode that delivers short bursts of power when needed. Now think of this as a speed boost without the nasty overheating. This mode will monitor the thermals in real time and adjust speeds, so you get a faster laptop than other competitors using the same CPU architecture. Now the laptop is obviously not meant for gaming. The integrated Intel Hd 615 GPU is slower than the 620 in the 7500U model, which means this laptop is strictly for business. So good for lots of web browsing, media consumption, office work, and some light Photoshop. In terms of heat, I pushed this system to its limits and I averaged 44 degrees Celsius or 107 degrees Fahrenheit, and it never felt too hot or uncomfortable to hold. Expect average temperatures to be around 32 degrees Celsius. The battery inside is 46 watt hours, so this is smaller than the 60 watt hour battery in its thicker brother. But because it's using the Y series CPU, there's a lot less power being consumed. Unfortunately, it doesn't equate to equal battery life. With the clamshell version, I was getting around 9 hours of use, while with the 2-in-1, I was averaging around 7.5 to 8. So here's my closing thoughts. The Dell XPS 13 2-in-1 was able to bring over the things we loved about the regular version, such as the beautiful Fhd Edge display, small portable form factor, good sound, and the ability to sketch and draw. Now unfortunately, to do this, they had to stick a weaker processor inside, reduce the battery life, and remove some ports. With that being said, I'm really impressed with it, and it's still definitely one of the better 2-in-1s I've tested. Now, I don't think it's a better purchase over the regular XPS 13 unless you need the stylus to draw or want the smallest form factor possible. So that wraps up my review of the 13 2-in-1. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comments below. Is this something you can see yourself getting? Or if you have one already, let me know what you like or dislike about it. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next video.